Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We begin with words of welcome. Hava Nashira, Shir Hallelujah. Let us sing a song of joy. As we find that Shabbat rest inside each and every one of us. Hava Nashira, Hava Nashira, Hava Nashira, let us sing. Hava Nashira, Hava Nashira, Hava Nashira, let us sing. Come 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 let us sing. Hava Nashira. Come let us sing. 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 Hava Nashira. Hava Nashira. Hava Nashira. Hava Nashira. Let us sing. Hava Nashira. Hava Nashira. Hava Nashira. Let us sing. Come 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 let us sing. Hava Nashira. Come let us sing. Come let us sing. Come let us sing. Come let us sing. Hava Nashira. Hava Nashira. Hava Nashira. Hava Nashira. Let us sing. Hava Nashira. Hava Nashira. Hava Nashira. Let us sing.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is so good to see you here in person. It is so good to be with those of you who are joining us online, on Facebook, on our website, as we celebrate Shabbat together. Slowly but surely, our numbers are increasing in our sanctuary, and we're very excited about that. You'll be hearing more about that in the next week. I am Rabbi Joe Black. I am the senior rabbi here at Temple Emanuel. Who are you?
I am Cantor Liz Sachs. Was there another option?
No,
today?
I just
Okay.
wanted to give you a chance to tell who
Thank
you
you,
were. I didn't
thank
mean to
you.
introduce you.
I'm the senior cantor of the congregation.
And we are very happy. This is a special Shabbat. It is Refugee Shabbat. We'll be talking about what that means in a little bit. But right now, I want to introduce Josh Weiner and his family. Josh is becoming bar mitzvah tomorrow. So Josh and Dan and Liz and Gabe and Eve, come on up and help us kindle the Shabbat lights.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you. Josh, we'll be calling you up later to help with a few other things in your family, so you guys can go sit down now. Shabbat Shalom and Mazel Tov. So, there are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain.
Together, on Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share.
There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted.
On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation.
There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others.
Together, on Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal.
And so we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace.
Let's do it again.
God all the earth a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash.
I will sing unto God a new song.
All of our hearts are heavy on this Shabbat. Our hearts are heavy as we look at the desolation and destruction that's playing out in front of us in Ukraine. Our hearts are heavy as we try to find a way to make a difference. Our hearts are heavy as we see the lands that many of our ancestors came from lying in ruins. Shabbat does not change that. But what Shabbat does for us is it allows us to welcome in the holy, to welcome in the good, to welcome in Shabbat as one would welcome in a bride or a groom or a loved one. And so we sing these words, Lecha dodi likrat kala, come my beloved. Let's greet Shabbat. Let's welcome the potential for holiness and good that's in our lives so that when we strive to make a difference, we understand what it is for which we are striving.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala,
B'nei Shabbat nekavela.
One more time.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, B'nei Shabbat nekavela. זכור לדיבורך, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת לך דודי, לך דודי, לקראת קלה, הנה שבת, נקבלה לך דודי, לקראת קלה, הנה שבת, נקבלה.
לקראת שבת, לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה לראש מקדם נסוכה. סוף מעשה ומחשבה תחילה, לך דודי, לקראת קלה, הנה שבת, נקבלה לך דודי, לקראת קלה, הנה שבת, נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי האורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי, לקראת קלה, הנה שבת, נקבלה לך דודי, לקראת קלה, הנה שבת, נקבלה. We rise as we are able and turn to our entrance to greet our Shabbat bride. בואי ושלום עצרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, הנה שבת, נקבלה לך דודי, לקראת קלה, הנה שבת, נקבלה לך דודי, לקראת קלה, הנה שבת, נקבלה לך דודי, לקראת קלה, הנה שבת, נקבלה. Continue with Baruch, call to worship.
Blessed as evenings fall, the heavens' transformation, the ever-changing seasons. Blessed is the imperceptible movement of one moment into the next. Notes in a seamless melody you are composing for us even now. Blessed is the light that dances through the darkness, warming us in the radiance of a new day, returning to greet us once more. Blessed is the darkness that swaddles and bathes us in your dark beauty, comforting us with the sweet promise of liberation at long last. Baruch ata Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Blessed is the one who brings on evening's fall.
Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amcha hafta. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amcha hafta. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love.
In each age, we are challenged by our ancient teaching. Join with me. At each moment, we stand face to face with truth. In each age, we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment, the knowing heart is filled with wonder together. In each age, the children of Torah became its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth. Baruch ata Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Yisrael.
Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amcha hafta. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael amcha hafta. We are loved, loved, loved by unending love and unending love. Open up our eyes, teach us how to live. Fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Gather us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one, and we will know that you are one. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod,
Shema Yisrael, Shema Yisrael, Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
You may be seated. We chant Ve'ahavta together. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen.
The Israelites walked into the Reed Sea 1 foot at a time. What were they thinking about as the water rose up their legs, chilling their hearts, advancing toward their open mouths together? We continue to walk here now, 1 foot at a time on our better days forward. Alone, I cannot reach the far shore without drowning. But somehow I don't go under. The person to my right holds me up. Something I cannot see holds him up. Blessed is the source of help, so often unexpected. I step forward. The sea is vast. Blessed are you, gracious one, for your miracles that greet us every day.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? יש לך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. יא לי לי
Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael.
God, thank you for joy and delight, for wonder and awe, for moments of gladness and celebration. Grant me the ability to breathe gentleness into my hours and seasons so that I live awake to beauty, to holiness, to the radiance that surrounds us. Grant me the wisdom to arrive each day with passion and humor, with song and dance, with smiling eyes, in service to myself, in service to others, and in service to your holy name.
ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת. וקורא עונג ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת. מקדשי שביעי כולם ישבעו ויתענגו מטובך. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת. וקורא עונג ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת. והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו. חמדת ימים אותו קראת, זכר למסווה בראשית. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת. וקורא עונג ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת. שומרי שבת. Let me read responsively. Do we?
Yes, it starts that way.
Okay, good. Just looking. This is a prayer. Adonai svatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. God, open my lips so that my mouth may declare your praise. Together.
Open my mouth so that my heart may sing your glory.
Open my heart so that my eyes may see your wisdom.
Together, open my eyes so that my soul feels your presence.
Open my soul so that my hands do your mitzvot.
Open my hands so that my works glorify your Torah.
Open my works so that my deeds bear witness to your truth.
Open my deeds so that my life bears witness to your justice.
Open my life so that my spirit bears witness to your majesty. Open my spirit so that my days declare your holy name.
We rise as we are able for tefillah. In just a few moments, when we read from our Torah scroll, we are going to be reading the very end of the book of Exodus. And at that moment, as we will talk about tonight and as Josh will talk about tomorrow, we are completing the building of the Mishkan, the building of our tabernacle, our sanctuary in the desert. And throughout this process of building, we have been singing this piece, God, prepare me to be a sanctuary. Because not only do we build external sanctuaries, but we also build them inside each and every one of us to prepare ourselves to be holy spaces for ourselves and for each other. And so tonight, for the last time for a little while, we sing this song. God, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you, Adonai, Sfatai tifta, ufi yagi, tehilatecha, Adonai, Sfatai tifta, ufi yagi, tehilatecha. God, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imloteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר, מושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לישני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך מימי ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
may be seated. And we turn now away from others' words on our screens and find those words that are printed in our hearts as we look within. There to find our own mishkan, our own sanctuary, our own place of refuge, our own place of hope, our own source of motivation to make a difference as we look within and pray in silence.
Oh, say shalom, bimroa. Oh, say shalom, bimroa. Hu yaseh, hu yaseh. Hu yaseh shalom, hu yaseh, hu yaseh, hu yaseh shalom, hu yaseh, hu yaseh, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Oh, say shalom. Say shalom, say shalom, aleinu. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Oh, say shalom.
We continue now with Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the service for the reading of the Torah, this very special Torah portion, P'kudei. I ask you now to rise as you are able.
Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'ishtachavu Le'ar Kodsho Romemu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'ishtachavu Le'ar Kodsho Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
So I want to call up Dan and Liz Weiner, the parents of our bar mitzvah, for the honor of blessing the Torah tonight. You can leave your mask on or off while you're up here. It's up to you. Okay.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim Benatan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen.
Hold that right there. Amen. V'yachas ha'anan et ohel moed, uchvod Adonai malei et hamishkan. V'lo yachol Moshe lavo el ohel moed, ki shachan alav ha'anan, uchvod Adonai malei et hamishkan. Uv'he'alo te'anan me'al hamishkan, yisu b'nei Yisrael, bechol masehem. Ve'im lo yeleh ha'anan ve'lo yisu ad yom he'aloto. Ki anan Adonai al hamishkan yomam ve'esh tiyeh laila vo le'nei chol beit Yisrael bechol masehem.
Finished. And we have just finished a book of Torah. And when we finish a book of Torah, we say the following saying, Chazak, Chazak v'nitchazek. Let us be strong, and let us strengthen one another. So Cantor, please lead us.
Chazak, Chazak v'nitchazek.
Do you want to translate?
I would love to translate. And the cloud covered the Mishkan, the tent of meeting, and the Spirit of God, the glory of God, filled the Mishkan. And Moses could not go into the tent of meeting because God, the cloud of God, had covered the entire Mishkan. And that is how it went. We're going to paraphrase. The cloud of God, right, and so it was. The cloud of God filled the Mishkan, and it walked with the Israelites by day and by night. And that is how it went for the Israelites all the days of their journey.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chaye olam nota b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Are you feeling strong? Okay, because
Well,
you're
first we're going to Misha Berach.
First, we're going to Misha
So we're
Berach.
gonna
Okay,
hang
so
for a
go
second.
have us stay here.
Good to feel strong for Misha Berach also.
Yes. So we take a moment now, while our Sefer Torah is open in front of us, and we offer this blessing, this Misha Berach, this blessing for healing, for members of our congregation and our community who are in need of healing. And as always, we will be reading a list of names of members of our congregation, our friends, our family. But if there are those whose names are not on this list, in between the two verses, I ask that you say them out loud, or if you're with us online on Facebook, write them in the chat or just say them from this side of our sanctuary to this, so that all of us might ask for God's healing presence on their behalf. Pray together. On this Shabbat, we are mindful of Zachary Hoffman, David Carner, Jean Silber, Scott Englander, Stacy Hoffman, Phyllis Schulman, James Tepper, Alan Davidson, Donald Gross, Douglas Hamilton, Ira Levine, Leslie Rohde, Kara Smoley, Richard Seedroff, David Freed, Rick Ratch, Betty Inberg, Betty Heller, Alex Busnevetsky, Lori Goldman, Laura Culver, Carol Weiner, Jared Siegel, Arnold Brodsky, Yana Vishnitsky, Peggy Lehman, Rebecca Zuckerman, Gary Potashnik, Steve Volin, Murray Unell, Donna Lenobo, Sheila Rosenberg, Murray Rosenberg, Nancy Sager, and Miriam Brodsky. Are there other names? Baruch atah Adonai mekor harefuah. We praise you, Adonai, the source of healing. And now we rise as we prepare to return the Torah to the ark.
Torah אשר שם משה לבני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה ילאי לי 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 ילאי לי
It's a long walk back there. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. As you know, this Shabbat has been designated as Refugee Shabbat. This is something that congregations all over the country are celebrating, and it's almost always this time of year, and sponsored by an organization called HIAS. HIAS used to be known by an acronym as the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, and I'll talk a little bit about HIAS in just a moment. But and it was the organization that brought Jews, that helped assimilate Jews into America, fleeing from oppression overseas. But HIAS continues that mission and its Jewish values, but it is not merely a Jewish organization. It welcomes and helps to resettle refugees from all over the world. So why the Shabbat of all Shabbatot? Well, this is Shabbat P'kudei, as we've heard chanted so beautifully by Cantor sax. And it is the last major portion. It's the last portion in the book of Exodus, but if you look at the book of Exodus, the last several chapters are filled with an elaborate description of the building of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, this improbable structure that followed the Israelites throughout their 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. Now, the Hebrew word Mishkan is an interesting word, because its root, as every Hebrew word has a root, is shachan or shochen, which means to dwell, to live. And in P'kudei, this Torah portion of this week, the Israelites complete building the Mishkan, and they dedicate it. So the question that our rabbis ask is, why is so much space of the book of Exodus dedicated to this Mishkan, this building, this place where God can dwell, and the construction thereof? Well, there are many answers from our tradition. The Zohar, our mystical tradition, says that everything that happens on earth is a reflection of what happens on high. And so the purpose of the Mishkan was to remind us that whenever we build a sanctuary or a shelter of any kind, we are bringing God's presence in the world because we are reflecting what is happening in the heavens above. Okay. But another understanding of the purpose of the Mishkan is more tangible. You see, the Israelites, during their 40 years of wandering, of homelessness, of transition, needed to know that even during the destabilizing reality of wandering, they had a vision of what a home, a dwelling, a safe space might be. Building a place in which God can dwell was a powerful statement of hope for the promise of a stable future for these refugees from Egyptian bondage. And so tonight, on this Refugee Shabbat, we are joining with congregations and Jewish communities around the world to commemorate the plight of refugees and to learn and to pledge to how we as people of faith can both raise awareness of and find ways to help refugees find their own mishkan, their own place to dwell in safety and community. And this is not a mere abstract concept in Jewish life. We know, and we've heard many times, that in the Torah, over 36 times we find the mitzvah, the commandment to welcome the outsider, the stranger, the refugee. For we know the heart of the outsider, the stranger, the refugees, because we ourselves were strangers in the land of Egypt. Our ancestors, Abraham and Sarai, Abraham and Sarah, were considered praiseworthy because they opened their tent to all who were in need. Rashi, in his commentary on the story in Genesis chapter 18, where Abraham and Sarah welcomed God's messengers into their home on their way to Sodom and Gomorrah, says that not only was Abraham's hospitality essential, but what was even more essential was the fact that he taught his children to welcome those in need into his homes, into their homes as well. The command to welcome the refugee, the mitzvah of hachnasat orchim, welcoming the stranger and the visitor, must be passed down door to door from generation to generation to generation. I have a question. How many of us here tonight, raise your hand, and if you're on Facebook, I want to hear it too, are descendants of refugees? Raise your hand. Yeah. If you're watching on Facebook, put it in the chat. Put where they were from too. How many of us who have ancestors who were welcomed into this new land by Hayas and other aid groups designed to fulfill the mitzvah that Abraham and Sarah taught us so powerfully, that our Torah repeatedly tells us, of loving the stranger and the refugee into our midst? I stand before you tonight as the descendant of double refugees on my mother's side. My grandparents fled their homes in Ukraine after suffering from the pogroms instigated by the anti-Semitic governing policies. They fled Ukraine, the very cities that we see splashed on our television screens today, and traveled to a civilized country, Germany, where my grandfather was able to begin anew in the city of Leipzig. My mother was born in Germany, and as I recently wrote in a blog post that some of you may already have read, they were able to flee Germany in December of 1938, 1 month after the pogrom we now call Kristallnacht, where Jewish businesses, homes, and synagogues were burned and looted, paving the way for Hitler's final solution. And the only reason that they were able to leave at such a late date, when other Jews from Germany could not get out, was that the anti-Semitism of the Third Reich denied them German citizenship. They had passports from the Soviet Union, which were very valuable because no one was getting out of the Soviet Union. And the quota here in America, which was very limited, was wide open. They came in under the Russian and Soviet quota, and the anti-Jewish policies that were designed to oppress actually saved their lives. And I stand here before you as a result. Now, when we planned this date on our temple calendar for Refugee Shabbat, we had no idea that the world's attention would be focused on the cities and the lands and the countries that my grandparents and my great-grandparents came from. The University of Kharkov, that was recently leveled by Russian bombs, was the very same place where my grandmother received her master's degree in history. And our hearts are broken as we witness the tragedy and the brutality in Ukraine caused by Vladimir Putin's brutality. We have seen more than 1 million refugees flooding into neighboring Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, and Moldova. And while the vast majority of Ukrainian Jewry was murdered in the Shoah, today there are over 200,000 Jews currently living in Ukraine. Multiple Jewish organizations are on the ground helping these refugees find places of refuge, and I'm told that the Jewish Agency, in partnership with the State of Israel and El Al Airlines, has already received over 14,000 requests to make Aliyah, to move to Israel, and the numbers are growing exponentially. We don't know yet when or if how many Ukrainian refugees will reach the shore of the United States, or here in Denver, let alone Ukrainian Jews. But whatever the number, our tradition teaches that we cannot remain indifferent or silent when people are in desperate need. Right now, several funds have been set up to meet the humanitarian crisis in the Ukraine. Jewish Colorado has set up a relief fund, as well as many other organizations, including the World Union for Progressive Judaism. There are several liberal reform congregations in the Ukraine that are suffering. And those of you watching online on Facebook should have those links posted on the chat that Francie is putting up right now as I speak. But as important as it is for us to support our Jewish brothers and sisters, we are not only concerned about the plight of Jewish refugees. As Hillel said, Imein ani li mi li, if I am not for myself, who am I? Uksha ani la'atzmi ma'ani, but if I am only for myself, what am I? And as I said earlier, when we designed this Shabbat, our focus originally was going to be to address the fact of how we as a congregation have committed to help welcome over 2,000 refugees' families from Afghanistan that the city of Denver will be bringing into our community. Think about that. 2,000 families are coming to Denver from Afghanistan, escaping the Taliban. They will be needing housing, food, clothing, employment, language skills, counseling, and a myriad of other services to help them in their time of crisis and need. And Jewish Family Services has committed to sponsoring 100 of these Afghan households. And because of the size of our congregation and its prominence in the community, they have asked us to help them not by adopting one family, but by raising funds, materials, and awareness so that we can provide many households with what they need, not merely with what we want to give. And so over the next days, weeks, and months, we will be sending out specific requests to all of you, to all of our members. We will be asking for furniture, bedding, food, and most importantly, financial support. The most urgent need at this time is housing. So if you or anyone that you know has access to apartments or other living spaces that these families in desperate need can rent, can use, can lease as their own mishkan, their own sacred place of dwelling, please let us know. We're not yet collecting specific items, so please wait until we tell you what things are needed before bringing in your donations. We will be clear. And we are so grateful to our Afghan Resettlement Project lead volunteers, Deb Herman, Lori Kalata, and Sherry Stark, who because of their extraordinary work with Family Promise, are deeply invested in understanding the scope of what we can do to be most helpful. And the myriad of volunteers who have continued to work with Family Promise, there'll be other opportunities to volunteer one-on-one as well, I can assure you. My friends, we see playing out in real time in Ukraine, the world in which as we see playing out in real time in Ukraine, the world in which we live is filled with brutality and pain. There are times when we watch in disbelief as the human potential for cruelty seemingly has no bounds. We feel helpless and hopeless. I can't tell you how many conversations all of us have had on the clergy team with members of our congregation who have told us that they want to do something, but they don't know what to do. We feel helpless and hopeless as we watch the misery created by the lust for power and control ruin people's lives. And in the midst of our helplessness, it is incumbent on us to reach out and find ways to counter hatred with love. Rabbi Abraham Isaac Kook, the first chief rabbi of Israel, taught that the only way to deal with sinat chinam, with baseless hatred, is through ahavat chinam, endless love. We may not be able to change the facts on the ground, but at the same time, we cannot allow those facts to change us. Tonight, we concluded the book of Exodus by reading about the dedication of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, the place where God dwells. Tomorrow morning, in addition to hearing a wonderful Devar Torah from our bar mitzvah, Rabbi Hyatt will expand on why the Mishkan is a powerful symbol for welcoming refugees in Torah study at 9:30. 9:30. So I want to share one last rabbinic interpretation of why the Israelites needed to create a Mishkan. They teach that each of us has within ourselves the potential to create our own Mishkan, our own indwelling of God's presence. The physical Mishkan, the tent, the tabernacle that the Israelites built in the wilderness was a symbol of who we could and should be. We represent the godliness in the world through our actions. And by reaching out and helping and welcoming those in need into our community and indeed around the world, we are literally creating a Mishkan within ourselves. And we're slowly, carefully working to repair the imperfections of the world in which we live. This is our faith. This is our fate. We can do no less. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will. I want to invite Cantor sax to come on up and sing a beautiful piece of music. The words of Emma Lazarus's Colossus. It's what's it called? A new Colossus that is written on the Statue of Liberty. Cantor.
Give me your tide, your pour, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. To breathe free.
beautiful. We rise now as we are able for Alinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
And our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth. Our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, whose graves are unmarked. And those of every race and every nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. And as we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. As we recall those who have been taken from us and who we are mourning this past week. Nancy Schwader and Florence Sloan. We link to their names those who were taken from us in the previous 30 days. Rosalind Ann Augusto, Linda Forrest, Donald Lubick, Sam Dave Mateer, Joan Fla Sussman, Irene Freund, Stephen Schwartz, Minna Kay, and William Bill Osterberg. We link with their names those whose yahrzeit, the anniversary of whose death occurs on this Shabbat. Alan S. Beinhorn, Agnes Berenbaum, Ray Berry, David Borer, Rose Cohen, Benjamin Scott Cook, Alfred Eddie Custer, Louis Dinner, Olga G. Dreyfus, Ben F. Englander, Bert Erdman, Stacy Malman Feldman, Gladys L. Fishman Tennyson, Cindy Fowler, Rose Watman Friedman, Mary Gass, Meyer Goldblatt, Stephen Golden, Herman Goldsmith, Ludwig Greer, Cindy Beth Grimes, Janice Gross, Sarah Katz Harris, Arnold Heller, Gilbert Hirsch, Dorshan Hyman, Max Isaacson, Norman Carden, Cy Karsh, Eli Katz, Rita B. Kawin, Zoe Tova Kislowitz, David Crone, Goldine Lackner, Alan Laff, William S. Landers, Solomon Lehrberger, J. Robert Levy, Lesser Levy, Jules Milstein, Arthur Moss, Stephen Newman, Sally Nowak, Max Pedzensky, Samuel Pells, Leora G. Parrish, Norton Polivnik, Bessie G. Radetsky, Sarah Rechnitz, Louis R. Rice, Evelyn Rifkin, Lieutenant Colonel Harry E. Rosen, Jacob Rubenstone, Erwin L. Sandler, Nancy Schwader, Ida Schwader, Harvey Joseph Silverman, MD, Rosa Silver Smith, Walter Simon, Hattie Spitzer, Catherine Stone, Samuel Sussman, Ruth Tainzer, Dr. Louise Teichert, Gregory Allen Tepper, Pearl B. Weiner, Abe Weinstock, Norbert S. Wise. We remember 10 of the 420 precious souls from the community of Kolin, with and through whom we are linked through our Kolin Chapel. Berta Brunerova, Alwa Budlovsky, Ivan Dechmar, Otili Dechmarova, Anna Diamant, Yosef Diamant, Karel Diamant, Hugo Eckstein, Yuri Eckstein, and Julius Eckstein. We remember all those who have died in this past barrage of Ukraine. And I ask now if there are other names for whom Kaddish is being said that is not on this list. As you say them out loud or write them in the chat if you're on Facebook. Zichronam levracha, may their memories be for an eternal blessing. I ask now if you have lost a loved one in the previous 30 days to rise now as you are able physically or spiritually. If you are in the 11-month period of mourning since the loss of a loved one, please rise now as you can. If you are observing a yahrzeit, the anniversary of a death on this Shabbat, rise as you are able. And now in solidarity, let us all rise on behalf of those for whom there is no one to say Kaddish, the martyrs of our people, and all people as we join together in ancient words of the mourners, Kaddish. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah, Bi'alma divrachir ute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon v'yomechon, uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach la'alam u'la'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar, v'yit aleh, v'yit halal, shmei dekud shabrichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. And may the source of peace, who makes peace in places far beyond our knowing, send peace and comfort to the bereaved here among us, wherever they may be. And let us all say, amen.
Oseh shalom imroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'yimru
I'm going to ask that you stay standing as you are able for just a little while longer. And in just a second, Josh, I'm going to call you up. But before I do, I want to read this prayer that was sent to us by Hayas for this refugee Shabbat. We lift this cup with words, remembering our ancestors' exodus from Egypt on our lips. Zecher litziat Mitzrayim. Remember the exodus from Egypt. And as we recall that ancient journey from slavery to freedom, we think also of the many times throughout history that our people have wandered in search of safety. From Tsarist Russia to the horrors of the Holocaust to persecution in Iran, the former Soviet Union, Cuba, Ethiopia, and beyond. Time and again, we have found ourselves forced out of our homelands for being who we are. But each time we were held together by community, and assisted by those who risked their safety in protection of ours, we continued to survive against all odds as our hearts grew to hold others who would come out to experience what we had. We fill our Kiddush cup to overflowing, hoping that the joy of Shabbat will spread into the week to come. And so it is as we welcome refugees, asylum seekers into our communities today. Zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, recalling our exodus from Egypt, the Torah tells us, you know the soul of the stranger. While our responsibility to protect the rights of refugees and asylum seekers does not derive from our experience in Egypt, that experience does amplify our obligation to welcome. May our commitment to welcome fill to overflowing just as our Kiddush cup does, leading us to take bold action in support of refugees and asylum seekers from every corner of the earth. And just as the Jewish people have thrived, so too do today's refugees of all faiths and ethnicities strive as they rebuild their lives and become part of their new communities. We lift up this cup with words, remembering the ingenuity of creation on our lips. Zikaron lama'aseh Bereshit, a memory of the acts of creation. We continue creating and repairing the world as we build our communities on the collective strength of each individual, remembering that we are stronger and strongest when we come together. So Josh, come join us up here for Kiddush. Here you go. Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon inchilanu. Zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Ki banu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim. V'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. You can take off your mask and take a sip.
Don't try to drink it through your mask. That will not work out well for anyone.
No, it will not. Okay, stay here and you can lead us in the motzi too. Hold on. All right. Pull off the cover. Oh, a beautiful.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'ah. Take these to your family. Leave the cover here, though.
Thank you.
You're welcome. See you tomorrow. Get a good night's sleep.
We remain standing as we enter into our closing song which is Adon Olam, where we talk about what it means to find eternal strength and comfort in the idea of the divine and each other. We sing together. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Le'ed Nasa B'chefto Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra.
Elohei kol dorotenu, our God and the God of every generation, you who have taught us to remember, to feel the pain of the stranger, the refugee, and to build a mishkan of welcome in our hearts, in our homes, in our communities, and do the holy work of resettlement. God, we ask your blessing on this congregation. We've come here tonight, each week more and more and more, filled with hope. We've come to celebrate. We've come to remember those who but yesterday were with us. We've come to find community, to find hope, to show solidarity, to ask our questions. And we ask your blessing. Blessed were we in coming here. Blessed may we be as we go forth for this time and always. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Turn around and wave at the camera, everybody. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.